What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Heavyweight Nation podcast. And today, obviously, you see co-host Matthew on the left of me, and under both of us, of course, you had to get him on. We got 2023 NCAA champ Pat Glory from Princeton. Pat, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Of course. And Rosa has Matthew over there has an absolutely thrilling question to ask him. Two Jersey boys might go at it here. Let's hear what Matt's got to say.
All right. You know, being from Jersey, I gotta know Taylor ham or pork roll.
Yeah. I think it's an argument that separates the state a little bit, and you hate to see
absolutely.
You hate to see a divide in the state of New Jersey, like the one that's created with this Taylor ham pork roll argument. I'm personally from an area, a very small area, I will say, because the majority of the state is in opposition to this argument, but I'm Team Taylor ham, and I think the way that I argue for it is it's like calling a Band-Aid a bandage. You know, it's like the name brand, like what you would say, like kind of slang term for like the highest quality of that product. Like I don't know if that makes sense. Like that's kind of the way that I've always thought about it, but pork roll is what like that is, you know what I mean? It's like I'm not gonna sit here and tell you like pork roll's not what it's called, but I call it Taylor ham because it's like the name brand product, maybe, if you want to go about it that way.
Matthew is a happy camper right now.
I'm right there with you. Right there.
All right, cool. Man. All right, I didn't know either way, but that's whenever anyone asks me that, I'm always like, yeah, like I mean,
now, is it like a North Jersey, South Jersey type of feud? Is that Matt? What part are you from?
I'm from North Jersey, okay. Sussex County.
Yeah. So he's even further north than I'm from. But yeah, I would say like Sussex, Bergen, Morris, like we're kind of the only like really three counties maybe that calls it Taylor ham nowadays. But it's interesting that is that way, because you get like down into the Princeton area, you know, you're looking at PECs. You don't really see a lot of TECs written on sandwiches around here.
Yeah, well, I'm right there with you, man. Absolutely. And, you know, being a Jersey guy, I had to clear that up real quick before we get into the good stuff.
Yes, sir.
All right, Pat. Well, you know, it all had to begin somewhere for you. You know, let me just say quickly, one of the most emotional moments I've seen in a wrestling match. You know, after you get your hand raised, it just seemed like, you know, it all kind of just hit you. So what was that like for you? Kind of what emotions were going through your mind, right? You know, right then and there. And as you're crying, you realize, okay, I got to go meet Trump now as well.
Yeah, dude. It was a quick turnaround. Like it was just like really like this guy grabbed my arm, and it was just like, you know, you got to go from one place to the next, and then like you're kind of just on a trajectory that you don't really have control of. But I would say like the emotions that were going through me was just like indescribable. Like it's kind of a culmination of like, you know, a lot of memories and stuff that were kind of going through my head, and like you know, just all the hard work, all like the, you know, young, you know, wrestlers that, you know, I'd kind of seen like even leading up to that final, you know, kind of reminded me of myself, you know, as a little guy, like going to these tournaments and being around really high level wrestling. Because honestly, in part of New Jersey that I was from, like it was really easy to find like really, really good guys. Like my coaches were like some of the best wrestlers like in New Jersey wrestling history, you know what I mean? And so it was always kind of like in my mind, it's like, well, why can't I do this? You know, like I'm doing it and I'm around this, like I'm living it, you know. It's like, but then you finally do it. Like, you know, there's no doubt, like there's questions. You always question yourself up until up until I got my hand raised, that final whistle happened. Like you never know, anything can happen even in that match, you know, that finals match. So
especially with
Ramos
is
guy,
you know, semi-final match. I'm sure Spencer Lee's up by, you know, like 2 takedowns at that point, and he's thinking, okay, I secured it. We go face a familiar opponent in the finals, and then all of a sudden it's over. He's on his back, and the whistle's called. The hand hits the mat, and his season's done right there.
Yeah, I just want to go on record and say, like, I haven't really watched a lot of my matches. I went back and watched like every single one of Ramos's matches because he went up like right before me, like pretty much every round, like early rounds, and like the way that this kid pulled off wins at this tournament, like even like the first couple rounds, like he like had no business winning some of the matches he won, like was down like in triple overtime going into the last period, like has to cut the kid and like finds a way to get a takedown with 7 seconds left and like ride out. You know what I mean? Against like that kid Trombley and like there's another Cardinale, like he's wrestling Cardinale in the quarterfinals and like Cardinale gets a takedown in the last 30 seconds of the match, and then like the kid wants to Ramos winds up reversing him in like the last 2 seconds of the match to survive and advance. He don't get to that point against Spencer Lee if he doesn't find a way to win like miraculous wins, like some of the craziest wins I've ever seen in an NCAA tournament. And people don't realize that he almost didn't even get there. You know what I mean? It's it's so crazy how everything worked out. That being said, like I'm not gonna sit here and say I didn't want to wrestle Spencer Lee, because forever and always, like I have my trophy and I'm not going to argue that, but people are always going to say, oh, well, he didn't wrestle Spencer Lee. It's like, people can say what they want, but at the end of the day, we're going to like be happy with the way that we performed and what we did, cause like, what else is there? That's the way it went.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Ramos, it was his day. It really was. It was his tournament. And, I hope, you don't feel that he kind of stole the thunder a little bit from you. Obviously the media went absolutely crazy, but then you turn around and shut it down, in the finals. But we'll get to that in a little bit when Matt takes his go at your whole college career. But, where to begin? Who inspired you to get into the sport? How old were you? Obviously you had a very successful high school career at Del Barton, 4-3-0 senior year, well over 150 wins. So, what was that like for you, from the beginning all the way until, you decide, you want to become a Princeton Tiger?
Yeah. No, the beginning days were I think a part of this, like, really a story of struggle, I would say. Like I didn't really see a lot of success at a young age in the sport of wrestling. But with that being said, I kind of always like viewed myself as a wrestler. Like I always did like other sports, but like wrestling was kind of the thing that I was best at. My dad is a one of four boys. Like he grew up around all brothers, and so they were all wrestlers, played football, did that whole shebang. And he never really saw success. Like he wound up playing golf in college for a year, and just was kind of like not really super motivated to be in the sport of wrestling. But I think he recognized, like, when he was a wrestler, like he learned a lot, from the sport, and kind of just, it was like, hey, you're the 1% of your like height and weight, as a little kid, like, like might as well see if wrestling maybe, might work for you. So I started off as a 50 pounder in the 3rd grade, took 2nd in the state. Like the first year I went to states, and then I'm, kind of thinking, now I'm walking around with like my state hoodie on, I got the 2nd place on the side, I didn't win, but felt pretty cool about making the state finals. And like as a 3rd grader, right, that's kind of, you're starting to build your identity as a human being and figure out who you want to be. I kind of started to take pride in that a little bit. And then, so then it's like, a lot of these like youth dads, that are, well connected in the sport, started reaching out for me to like wrestle with their kids and like do private lessons with, like, Corey Cooperman was a guy I, trained with at a young age, and like a lot of very high talented wrestlers. My youth coach from Randolph, I was in the Tri-County, growing up, wrestled in the Tri-Counties from the 3rd grade up to the 8th grade. And my youth, like my Tri-County coach was Carl DeStephanis, who won a national championship at Penn State in 1984 at 118 pounds. So I had a national champ as a youth coach. You know what I mean? So it was just always, really kind of like about that for me. Like it was about winning an NCAA championship, and so, got through that, like wound up in 8th grade. So I took 2nd in the state 2 more times after that. So I wound up going into my Del Barton high school experience as a 3-time 2nd placer, never champ. And so like that was hard, I mean? I was like in 8th grade, I wrestled Chris Cannon, who's, a guy wrestled at, Northwestern, he was at the NCAA tournament this year, smoked me, almost teched me. in the 8th grade in the state finals. So, I still had a long way to go. I was definitely not nowhere near, where I needed to be. And, I wound up taking second my freshman year, wound up taking second, my sophomore year of high school. And, I wrestled really, really talented guys, but still like never broke through that kind of barrier. And, kind of between sophomore and junior year, like really focused on my mental and like getting, the mental part of wrestling down and trying to figure out, leading up to a match, like what am I not saying to myself that I need to be like saying, how do I talk like good to myself as opposed to letting like the subjective, like bad thoughts kind of take over. And so worked with like a psychologist, who I, still work with, and he's been helping me a lot in terms of like, actively planning things to work on before going into those matches that have helped me a lot. And ever since then, I kind of feel like I've kind of been freed up to like be who I've always known who I could be, you know what I mean? And those experiences, those negative like losses, I feel like really fueled me to continue to work hard and like continue to get better at wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, let me just, for the fans listening now, let me just go through your rap sheet in high school, right? 2-time New Jersey State champ. Who's number 1 champ? Super 32 champ. 3-time Beat the Street Beast of the East champ. 2-time Escape the Rock champ. 3-time Fargo All-American. You had a 157-7 career with a 43-0 senior season. You pretty much did everything that a high schooler could do, throughout your entire career. So, at the end of the day, I'm sure you probably look back on that and you're like, wow, like you did everything that pretty much all these youth kids, they're striving to do and try to put together a career that you did. And, what's that kind of like for you knowing that, you were number 1? I mean, you won Who's Number 1. What was that whole experience like at Who's Number 1?
Yeah, that was the coolest thing ever. And people don't know this, but I wasn't even poised to be at Who's Number 1. I was the number 3 guy in the country at that point. And so they called me up. Jordan Decatur got hurt, and he was the number 1 guy, and he was supposed to wrestle Gavin Teasdale. And something happened, and like, a couple weeks out. I mean, it was only like 3 weeks from Who's Number 1. They called me, and I was pissed. I was so pissed because I wanted to wrestle at that so bad. And I didn't get an opportunity. And like, that was my senior year, right? So I was like, that was it. And Willie, I'll never forget, Willie Saylor calls me up and he's like, hey, Pat, I got your number from so-and-so. And, do you want to wrestle Who's Number 1? Like Jordan Decatur, like back, like he got hurt or something. And I was just like I was like, yeah, I just got so excited. I was like, so like pumped about it. And, so like, and that was like leading up to my senior year. So I still had like so much after that to kind of prove, continue to prove. But it was such a cool experience. I'd never beaten Gavin Teasdale up to that point, and I'd lost to him a lot of times, a lot of times. So it was really cool. That was a great experience for sure.
Yes, that's awesome, man. And then rolling into that college experience, going to Princeton, like talk a little bit about why you went to Princeton. Is it because it's close to home?
Yeah, no, I think that's part of it. All my coaches are Jersey guys, right? I mean, it's like you kind of like have to respect that a little bit. And, like being an hour from home, it's like, it's kind of like, you're on an island in a sense, like you're kind of like, far enough away that you're, on your own and doing your own thing. And, but you're also like an hour from home. So if I wanted to come home and see my family on a Sunday or something, or like, see my little brother wrestle or see my, whatever it is, see my friends, it was always an option, which was really cool. I didn't really, have a reason to leave New Jersey. I kind of love it. It's just like I'm used to being around here and being a part of the area. But yeah, no, I think I saw the vision that the coaches were talking about too. Like, I knew I wanted to go Ivy. Like I went to a private school that was very academically rigorous, and I always wanted to like continue that, like make it hard, make academics hard, earn your degree, have something like positive to look back on in that sense as well. And so having the wrestling part is really hard. There's not really a lot of schools that have like the best of both worlds. And so there's also like not a lot of programs that are like haven't had somebody do something. I was like, I can go to a program like Cornell where like they're just punching out national champs are going to be the first national champ. And that's what Coach Ayers, always said that like this program needed. And has been kind of speaking it. He tweeted the day after, like me, Quincy and I both lost in the NCAA finals last year, like 2023, like Princeton will have a national champion, like the day after. Like it's crazy. So it just goes to show you like how much like they believed in it too. So it's been really cool.
And seeing that vision that you will be a national champ, visualizing, getting your mental state ready, it's definitely a huge part of that. And since 1951, Princeton has not had a national champ. You're the first in 72 years. And that's just utterly amazing.
Yeah. It's like, I keep saying to people, like, it feels like it was way longer because, I don't think 72 years even like puts into perspective, like, how distant that 72 years felt to like the program. Bradley Glass was a football player too, and he wound up like not wrestling his senior year. So he very well could have been like a 2-time national champ. But I think we wanted somebody else out there. We wanted like the next guy to come and like take up some room because our kind of like wall in the wrestling room is just like with one big picture on under the national champs wall. And I know like we all go in that room every single day, like motivated to kind of get on that, gotta get up there. So it's like it's been really surreal. It still doesn't really feel like it can actually happen. But I think it's definitely a testament to like the vision because like we only had a handful of All-Americans since the program got reinstated before Matt Kolodzik and Brucky and them came in, which is when I was getting recruited and kind of what I wanted to replicate.
So I know you said his name a little bit earlier. What's that relationship like with you and Quincy Monday, who have pretty much solidified you guys, the last 2 years as a real threat, and shown a lot of people that, a lot of the, not just Princeton, but a lot of the Ivy League schools are there to wrestle.
Yeah, no, I think it's so hard to explain how fun it has been wrestling next to him. Like I keep saying, like if there's one person that on this like the earth that I would not want to wrestle in a wrestling match, it would be Quincy Monday. Like he's so good at wrestling. He's so like uber confident, and it just makes it easy, like warming up and like on the same mat with him and like going to war with him because not only are we like super motivated in the wrestling room to like be the best, like we're super motivated like outside of wrestling. And I think we both kind of like saw that same vision here and like the ability to kind of be your own person, but also be a phenomenal wrestler, which meant something to us. But I think like we're roommates. We've been roommates for the past 2 years. And, I could really say that he's my best friend. And we literally like, we're with each other every single day. He's got the best GPA on the team. So like I just like, it's so hard to do what he does. And I think it's like, it's just been so surreal having someone so amazing as Q in my life. Like I wouldn't change anything for the world. He's a great dude.
Yeah, I know we heard that a little bit. Obviously you step off the mat and you like we said earlier, you're pretty emotional. It's going through you, and you had enough courage there to mutter up the words, I wish Q was here with me. And I'm sure you as well as your whole coaching staff, hope that he had another opportunity in the finals. But I mean, what an amazing career he had as well. We were us here at Heavyweight Nation, we were blessed with the opportunity to talk to his dad, and let me say, win or lose, that is one proud father of him and his brother.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Regardless of what I accomplished, I think in my head it was so much harder to accomplish what he did. Not only did he
what
like
a
go
bracket. Bracket.
That's the best bracket I may have ever seen in an NCAA tournament. Like it was just ridiculous. I mean, how many national champs? How many national finalists? Yeah.
Like, and it was crazy because it was the semifinals. It was like 2 or more national finalists or national champs were going to be in the loser side of the bracket. Like it was crazy to see. Like you're watching, Carr wrestle Griffith in the semifinals,
the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like Shane
yeah,
Griffith is
ridiculous.
dropping
National
to the
champ
loser side of the
quarterback.
bracket after the quarters. Like, what a bracket. I mean, what a
Yeah,
bracket. Insane.
and you know, people forget that he was a 57 pounder coming into this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean, he didn't look small. It's not like he was like, by and large, like a lot smaller than these guys. Like, he was filled in and like he stepped
Yeah.
up like and
And he did
like the
it. I
first
mean,
person he wrestled in
he
was
fought
the
all the way to
Midland
third.
midi.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he dominated the third, exactly like you said. Like he was turning people. Like, you know what I mean? Like Quincy Monday is not like he's like would not. He'll tell you like he's like not like a big top wrestler. He wound up he had more turns in the NCAA tournament than I did. Like who claims to be like this great top wrestler, right? You know what I mean? And it's just like so amazing. Like he just did it all. He added everything, and for like and again people like I was sitting with him on Friday night, like after he like lost the car in a barn burner of a match, by the way, where like he didn't get off the bottom, which is honestly what I credit to losing to Suriano. So like Friday night, like it's like it stinks, right? He chose down. He could have chose neutral, and we're all talking about it, right? Like like shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But at the end of the day, you can't change anything. And
You got to go out there and fight. It's like
yeah,
Saturday
I'm
comes
like,
along and you
and
got
I
to go
said to
out
him,
there and
yeah, yeah. I said to him, I'm like, dude, people are gonna be so freaking proud of the way that you go out and finish on top, like finish on like the third stand, like you know what I mean? Like after everything that you had to go through to get to this point and like going up in weight, like that's what people are gonna talk about. Like people are gonna be so proud of you regardless of anything. And I think he really just did it. He just said like, I don't care, and I'm gonna go do it for myself and for my family and for everybody that kind of supports me. So he just is a great role model. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, I think everyone's really proud of that whole program. Honestly, that Princeton's rose from the ashes, I could say. It just looked at as a really elite wrestling school now, which is awesome to see. And I know you said you wouldn't want to wrestle Quincy, but out of the people you have wrestled, who would you say like your toughest opponent was?
um it's hard for me to sit here and not tell you that Spencer Lee was the toughest guy that I've ever wrestled. I've never, I mean, in college I've never been dominated that the way that I've been. Like he he turned me and almost like teched me. The two matches I did wrestle him, I was basically almost teched in the first period in both of those matches. Just because of how like lethal his top game is. Like he gets the turns, he gets that arm bar like so quickly, and it's so hard to stop, man. It's like you can try to keep your wrists away, but unless you're really game planning for what he does, like it's really difficult to get to him. Soriano's tough, but he didn't really he kind of is very elusive. Like he didn't really like attack. And it was kind of like, so it's like hard for me to say that he was like the best like technical wrestler that I've ever wrestled. He wrestled very tactically, but man, Piccinini's pretty tough. Um, I'll tell you what, like my freshman year's 125-pound bracket was really, really good.
yeah. That was what? That was
I didn't
you,
like
Vito, Spencer, Piccinini,
Rivera.
Rivera.
Rivera was in there. I lost to him. He was tough. I mean, I took a loss to him three times in my, yeah, three times in my career. Um, there's just a lot of great wrestling. So it's hard for me to say, but yeah, at the end of the day, like, you have to have respect for any, win or lose. Like, you saw like at any time that after a match, like I was so like, man, like respect. Like I hope you guys, can go back and get the next best thing. It's like you understand that feeling. You don't want to be disrespectful to guys, who fought, their butts off to get, to give you a match. So I always try to kind of be good about that, even after celebrating, if it's like the finals and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, and this year, kind of a weird situation goes on at the Ivy League tournament. I believe you came in seeded second after a really weird coaches poll decides to put Unger Cornell above you after you made your decision during the season. So what was that kind of like for you? A little bit weird, I'm sure, mentally going in, being like, oh, okay, I'm the second seed after being, multiple time All-American, and I'm under somebody I majored. What was kind of that like when you see that bracket come out?
I think weirdly enough, I think it actually like helped me kind of like make it less than it was, maybe like kind of just like laugh it off almost, and like just focus on wrestling and not focus on like the who's and the what have yous, and like because it's so not about that. It's so not about that. And I think, that kind of was a testament to it. It's like, like no one cares. It doesn't matter what you were seated. It don't matter where you are in the bracket. Like you got to beat all, 4 or 5 guys you got to wrestle, to hold that trophy up at the end of the day. So it doesn't really matter who it is, where you start, how you start. You got to find a way to win every single one. So yeah, at the end of the day, like, it was funny. Like my coach told me a story about something that happened to him, Coach Gray, when he was at Virginia Tech. He's like one of his buddies was like by and large, the better guy, and like had head-to-head wins during the year, and like got seeded second because he didn't wrestle as many matches or whatever. And at the end, like he like dominated the kid in the finals and was like, I was half for a 2 seed or something. So I see like kind of like lighten the mood that like that story as well, and just kind of like try to make it like a joke and just be like, yeah, like just keep doing keep doing what you know how to do, your way.
Yeah, and after a really impressive season that you had and just a dominant performance, like what are your plans for this offseason?
Yeah, so Quincy and I are I think planning on going to the US Open. I think it's like it's in April. We're still going to be on campus. I feel like after a couple of weeks, I'll probably get bored of just like sitting around doing nothing. I want to get back on a wrestling mat for a little bit and just like, see what happens. Go to Vegas. It'll be a lot of fun. And then from there, see what's happening. I think regardless of what happens, like I think Quincy will be down here wrestling next year. So I think that'll be a huge motivator. I'm not 100% sure like what's going to happen if I don't make the team, right? If I make the national team, then I'll probably stay down here and train, but if not, then we'll kind of figure out things from there. Maybe start my job and move into the city and do the whole finance thing. So looking forward to it.
So no hope to throw your skin in the fight game. You don't want to fight.
I think I came here to preserve the thing in between in the 2 years, and so I think it's just like, I love fighting, and I'll probably go watch a bunch of fights and do that whole thing and support guys. I'm sure I'll know a number of guys that go and make the transition, but never, I came here so I didn't have to go do that, I guess. So it's always fun to think about, but at the end of the day, I think it's like, maybe I'll like train jujitsu and stuff for like fun, or like help somebody at my weight with wrestling or something. But yeah, I think that's kind of the extent of it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
obviously you worked hard for that Princeton degree, so you don't want to just get punched in the head a couple times and lose all
Yeah.
that knowledge. And
Right.
so
Exactly.
what was your degree title? What did you end up going to school for? And obviously you're going to graduate with.
Yeah. So I'm just finishing up my thesis, which is due in a couple weeks now. And then I'll be kind of like pretty much on the back end of my degree. Got to do a couple more like departmental exams and stuff. But I am an econ major, and I'm doing like a finance certificate. So it's basically I'm like a minor in finance. So it's been a super amazing experience. Like the professors that I've had at the school and like the experience that I've gotten is unprecedented. Like, I mean, it's incredible. The resources that I've had here, like, and I've kind of honestly come to take for granted. I've had like chairman of the Fed as my like microeconomist, teacher, you know what I mean? And like, very, one of my professors right now is on like the board of the G10 countries, for like the economic advisory and stuff. It's like it's amazing. And they're just like, normal professors that you would never expect to be kind of like had that great stature and resume. So I'm just blessed. I can't wait to kind of hold that degree high and just kind of look back on my, fondly on my Princeton experience. So I can't wait.
And one last quick one before we jump into some questions. If you could tell, a few words to any high school kids out there, that want to become a future Princeton Tiger wrestler, what would you say to them?
I would say, from the get-go, take academics seriously. Like you're a student athlete. And I think that's been like kind of like ingrained into my head for so long. And it might sound like cliche, but it's like if you're gonna push yourself to be the best wrestler, then why wouldn't you want to push yourself to be the best student as well? Because at the end of the day, like you're going to school, you have to go to school. You might as well like pay attention while you're there and try to make the most of it. And continue to, just be an ambassador of the sport, like learn as much as you can, like never ever stop working, because that's when you become complacent, and then you don't see any progress anymore because you don't have any goals you're working towards. Find like little things, like little technical things that you can say like, hey, I went to practice, I got better at this today, I worked on this, and continue to add this, and like put it into live, try to implement it to your live wrestling, because if you're just drilling it and you don't ever trust it in live, then you won't hit it in a match.
That's some great advice from you. I
So
think we're gonna get into some questions, right, Derek?
Yeah, so we have some questions for you. We'll end it with some fan questions, and then the last question we'll ask you is, we've asked about 130 times now to everybody that comes on the show, so we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, we have a couple wrestling related, a couple non-wrestling related questions just that me and Matt came up with. If you want to kick it off, Matt, go for it.
Yeah. All right. How would you rank Jersey wrestling compared to other states?
Now watch what you say here. Watch what you say here, Pat. I'm a
Some
PA
controversy.
boy. I'm a PA boy. Watch what you say.
I won't lie to you. Maybe it's the bias, but I do believe that New Jersey is it's up there. It's close. That being said, PA, it's hard to argue with Pennsylvania. But at the end of the day, like New Jersey is 100% top 3, I think.
Oh yeah.
Like it depends on how you like rank it. You know what I mean? It's like, do you rank it on like high school wrestling, or do you rank it on like how many people qualify, to the NCAA tournament? I think Illinois is up there. So I think
Wisconsin had
right?
a bunch.
Like, I was looking like, there's some states that like you wouldn't expect up there. But I think, and again, like I'm biased, but in terms of like the density of high level wrestling, and like coaches, like it's hard to beat like getting trained by like, Buxton, it's like, or like guys like that, right? Like, the Zach Esposito's and like, the Mike Esposito's and like, all those like, really like, I mean, there's a million, Corey Cooperman I mentioned, like, and like, there's a million really, really high level coaches, great clubs, great guys to wrestle. So, PA is tough because like, it's like you got a Pennsylvania or like a Pittsburgh area, right? And then you have like the Lehigh Valley, and then you have like some like other areas like around, but it's like hard for like, Pittsburgh guys to wrestle with like Lehigh Valley guys maybe sometimes.
Like it's the states.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, and like until they get there, right? So, but I guess that's the same thing can be said about like super South Jersey and like super North Jersey. So I don't know. I'm biased, but
I think that like a lot of people. So my personal, I would go PA, Jersey, then New York as my top 3. And a lot of people say that Jersey should be number 1 because PA has 2 state tournaments and Jersey has 1. I agree completely. If PA, I would love to see PA. I would love to see PA go at it, like AA versus AAA, have one like king of the state.
Too, I think they used to do that too. I'm pretty sure.
Now they just make a team up, and then that's like that Pittsburgh Classic.
Yeah.
So now it's a mix though. It's a mix of AA and AAA guys on the roster now.
Yeah.
So it's a little different now, but
PA is sneaky good too, like against Team USA, which is like, let alone like one state. I mean, you got the whole country of guys, best guys in the country.
But here's the thing,
and they still hold their own. So
like, there's also a good argument on the prep scale too of PA versus New Jersey. Obviously, Sam and
Yeah.
Blair have a
Yeah.
crazy duel every year that goes,
Yeah.
pretty much back and forth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, no doubt about it. So I mean, again, it's a fun argument to have, no doubt. But it's again, I love Jersey wrestling, and I think I wouldn't want to have grown up anywhere else. But I mean, Pennsylvania, just by the numbers, I mean, it's just hard to argue with.
Yeah, I
So
think I'm gonna have to take a trip down. I think I'm gonna have to go to Atlantic City next season and go with our whole crew, and we're
I'll
all
definitely
gonna.
be there. It'll be my first one I've actually been able to go to since I'm graduating. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, I
It
definitely
is
think
a fun time.
that'll be on our list of trips as all of us as a company to go to do some media while we're down there. But
Yeah.
next question for you, Pat. Just run us through a day of your life during the season. We want to know, well, what time you wake up, what you're eating, what that diet's like, and then obviously like what are your hours, like your classes, your practice, all that stuff.
Yeah. So a typical day, the first thing I like to do is well, I get up, I'll get like a cup of coffee or like a Red Bull or something in, and then go down and work out. I like to get a workout in kind of first thing in the morning, get some weight off. And then so that'll be like a private or maybe a lift, and then like maybe some cardio. And then go to class. I usually have class. This semester is a little bit different from my last semester. So I'm taking a little bit less classes, but maybe class from like 11 to like 3:30 or 4:20-ish. And then we have practice 4:40. I'll kind of eat I'll eat after the first practice before my first class. I'll have like a little bit of breakfast or lunch, depending on what time I get out of the first workout. And then that's kind of like something small, bagel, something along those lines. Maybe like some waffles. I got a toaster in my room, so I make those like Lego Maga waffles. So good. And then in practice at 4:40, we usually do like live of some sort. So we'll like drill for a little bit. Sometimes we'll do some technique, and then we'll go a certain amount of live, maybe short goes or longer goes, and then dinner, which is usually my bigger meal. I like to save as much as I can for dinner. And I'll have like chicken or steak or something like that, and some rice. Usually kind of try to stick to like something smaller. But like a good meal, good like hearty meal, maybe some vegetables, and then yeah, like just kind of doing some work, hanging out with the friends if I don't have a lot going on. Maybe playing some video games if I got time, and just kind of hanging out, getting ready for bed, and getting ready the next day.
Awesome. Good.
Yes.
Obviously, we've heard it from a lot of our guys, that Ivy League schedule is a little tougher. It definitely, we've talked to guys that,
Definitely.
wrestle at Harvard, Cornell, now at Princeton, and I'm sure it's a little more challenging to keep that, athletic balance compared to, some guys that may go to some other colleges.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely always work to be done. It's just a matter of like finding time. There's always free time. You just got to like find it and whatever's most convenient. But I think that like going to class, right? It's like that you don't realize like how hard that is. Like a lot of wrestlers like maybe don't go to class, and so like having like class all day, it's a commitment. You got to be committed to doing that. So if you don't, you get really caught up and like really far behind, and then you're playing catch up, which is like obviously going to stress you out more and take you away from wrestling. So
especially when you're traveling, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, like yeah, especially you're traveling so much, right? Like sometimes you miss class, right? So if you're missing multiple classes, then it's like really bad. So you want to try to like while you can make the most out of it, and try to get as ahead as you can.
Yeah. I think we have a couple more just like quicker kind of rapid fire questions. You just mentioned, in your downtime, what's your favorite video game? What's the go-to that you're playing on the sticks?
Right now we're playing it's a Switch game actually, Mario Super Strikers. I don't know if you guys have played like the GameCube game,
The soccer?
but
It's soccer, right?
yeah, the
And
soccer
then there was
one, the
Super
soccer one.
Sluggers was baseball, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So we've been playing Mario Super Strikers, which is the soccer one. Like we play like 2v2, and it just gets like super intense between my roommates and I. Like there's been a lot of like turmoil recently, like a lot of like back and forth, guys storming out of the room and stuff. It's been pretty heated. But I'm always good for a game of Fortnite. I'm always good for like, around like, I like multiplayer Call of Duty. I don't really love Warzone that much. But I'll play like Resurgence or something for a little while. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't really been playing a lot of video games. I played a little bit of FIFA earlier this year, like some Madden. So yeah, I kind of just like whenever I like get bored and have some free time, I'll just like try to find something to do.
Awesome.
All right, it's definitely good to keep yourself occupied, play those games. Um, what is your favorite post weigh-in meal?
Oof. I gotta be careful with this because usually I'm not supposed to put too much in after weigh-ins, but what I do, which if my coaches are listening, I never did. Wink,
Yeah,
wink.
you didn't hear anything. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not a thing.
I guess it doesn't matter now because it's all over. But anyways, honestly, I love like a good chicken parm. Italian foods, right? Like sausage and peppers, stuff like that, meatballs. Asian, like I'll go like hibachi is always like so good. We went to hibachi after our Arizona State match as a team. It was like the best time I've ever had. And I'm honestly not a picky eater. Like good sandwich, like or burger or something. Like I'll pretty much eat anything. Like calamari, like some good appetizers, wings, stuff like that. Like when I can, I like to eat good for sure. But I'm definitely not a picky eater at all in any sense.
And you got some good food spots around Princeton, definitely. Where would you say is your favorite food spot around there?
Oh man, there's a lot. So I got IVN, we got A and B, we got Triumph, we got Witherspoon Grill, Teresa's. Um, you get further off campus, you get Taste of Mexico. We just did a dinner there. Recently, Conti's a good pizza place. There's so many. Oh, Blue Point Grill, looking for some like some good fish, some seafood. Blue Point Grill is really, really good. There's a lot, man. There's a lot. Nassau Street's pretty open. Ani Ramen is a place we went yesterday. Shout out Ani Ramen. Buddy Carter works there. He was giving us great service. So yeah, no, it's been fun. I've been trying pretty much everything I can. Just to try to support local businesses.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's awesome.
So I got two more quick ones for you, and then we'll get on to a couple questions from the fans. What is your favorite wrestling shoe that you have ever worn throughout your whole career from youth to college? What's that go-to wrestling shoe?
I grew up on so when I was a youth wrestler, I had like I was actually going through this with Quincy. This is the same question. I had the Response twos or like the Adidas Responses. I don't know if you guys remember those. The one with the zipper on the front.
Oh yeah. They're like I know
Which
they
ones
made
I'm
like a
talking
white
about?
and blue pair, and
Yeah,
they
yeah. I like the gray and blue and yellow ones. And so I liked those when I was like a really, really like little kid. And then I got into like the aggressors. I liked aggressors for a while. Rulons were my high school shoe. I literally wore Rulons from like I think sophomore year on. Like I literally like I would have wrestled in Rulons if I could have found an orange pair of Rulons for college. I just literally I could never have found a pair. I literally was like looking for so long and couldn't find a pair. The favorite shoes I've ever worn in college, I like the Nike Inflicts. That's the ones I wore in the finals. Those are my favorite Nike shoe, I would say, because we kind of had to wear Nike. But I tell you what, the Scrap Life shoes that I wore, like the Bo Nickel has like the Ascend ones. So I signed with Scrap Life recently and I got a pair of the orange ones, like the tiger version. And I wear them in practice every single day, and they're pretty good. It's hard to find like good. So like for wrestlers, we like side grip. Like side grip is everything. So like any shoe that's like light and has good side grip, and good soles are awesome. So I like wrestling those a lot. I feel like a ninja a little bit. Like they kind of feel like fighting shoes almost. So I like they're really light. I like them a lot.
And then last question for you: who through your entire career was in your opinion your best practice partner?
Could get
Wow.
controversial here.
Could get a little. Some people's feelings might be hurt in the comments.
Calling people out.
My best practice partner. I mean, Dubuque's gonna want me to say Dubuque. But I think, if we're talking like just like kids, man, I'll say in high school it was Ty Gacy. Because he was the man. He was the state champ that I was looking up to. Man, I wrestled with so many club kids. Like Kolioka was always a club guy that I would wrestle with at Buxton's and stuff. So
He's been
shout out
on the
Mike.
podcast before. Yep.
Mikey C's my guy. And then, dude, in college, I mean, Sean Pearson and I, that's my guy this year. Anthony Clark I wrestled with for a whole bunch of years. Through Dub Martin in here. Nick KO was my 25 pounder this year. I mean, when I couldn't make it or when I was hurt, when I was up 33, he stepped in for us big time and was huge for me when I was hurt and needed a match off and stuff. So shout out him. I mean, dude, there's so many. Nick Rampone was my youth practice partner when I grew up. So shout out to Nick Rampone if he's watching. He's probably watching. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely missing a bunch. So I'm sorry if I'm missing you guys, but I always had great practice partners.
Have you ever got into it at practice with Quincy? Has there ever been a time where you guys went at it?
Dude, so Quincy always messed with me, and I'm when I'm just getting warmed up and I'm just trying to get my routine going, and then Quincy's just turns towards me and starts trying to wrestle me, and I'm like, oh no. Oh my God. But he claims that I'm strong, and then he clubs me one time and almost has me falling over. So I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? You're the strong one here, man. But we always getting funky positions and just try to make it fun and stuff and just play around. So it's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, just scrambling around.
Yeah, exactly. He's so much better at scrambling and stuff like that than people give him credit for too. So it's always fun just working on fun little things with him for sure.
Yeah. So one of the fans asked about your walkout. Now, did you happen to change your walkout when you found out Trump was there? And was that, kind of where, you got the music and the flag, and was that kind of have to do with it, or was that just going to be the way you went out?
Yeah, so it was way more than the Trump thing. I think that it was more me trying to get the crowd on my side. Last year, I kind of sprinted out and got up on stage and was ready to wrestle, basically right after they called my name. When it's it's a process, right? It's an experience. So I think I kind of rushed it a little bit. I wish I kind of had walked and took it in and I got the crowd behind me a little bit, you know what I mean? So I regretted that. And I was if I get another opportunity, I'm going to make it a show. I'm going to make it like a show for everybody.
You went full WWE on there. Let me just say.
Well, I'm thinking about the UFC too. They got their flags on their back. You know what I mean? You love watching that. People love watching that, right? It's why can't we have that for wrestling? Right? If we're doing it the same type of way, it's a walkout. Might as well have something that you identify as on your back. And especially Old Glory, that kept running through my head. It's just Old Glory. How do I not have that on my back when I'm walking out for my last match? And I took my time, man. I was I literally was taking so long to get up on that stage. I didn't want it to end.
I don't know why in my head I'm picturing Nino Bonacorsi walking out in a full velour tracksuit with an Italian flag draped over his shoulders.
Yeah,
right? Walking out to some just ridiculous music.
It would have been so funny, you know what I mean? People would have loved it.
I hope more people take from you. I really do. I hope that they make it more of this is my final walk. For a lot of the guys in the finals, maybe they have another year. For you, obviously, this was your last ride. So I think make the most of it. Like you said, make it memorable for people.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. I think, it's an experience. You earned it. You know what I mean? So make the most of it.
All right.
Yeah, Pat Glory's normalizing the walkout.
Yeah, let's get everybody next season. I want to see some crazy walkouts during NCAAs.
I want to see masks and crowns. I want it all.
I want to see a live rapper rapping their walkout song on the way to the mat.
Why not? Why not? You know what I mean? Get people talking, get support, get people talking about wrestling, like get Little Wayne out,
Let's make it happen.
You know what I mean? Like, why not?
I think that would be live AC/DC Thunderstruck while walking out to Nationals. That'd be a little bit crazy, but Pat, we got one more question for you to end it. And we've asked, like I said before, we've asked this question 130 some episodes now. You could take 3 of your Princeton Tiger teammates with you into the zombie apocalypse to build your survival squad. Who would they be, and reasons why you would pick them?
So I get how many? I get 3 or 4.
You said 3. Yeah, 3.
You get 3 teammates.
Oh man, you guys are putting me on the spot here.
Here's another one. It might cause some controversy in the Princeton wrestling room.
I'm gonna say definitely Travis Stefanik for a couple reasons. He's very resourceful. Like, he has like weird like talents that you don't even really know about him. And he's a big boy. If we need to like lift stuff, right, he can help us out with that and stuff. And also, like, the zombies will, like, they can take their time on him. He's a heavyweight, right? So they'll be satisfied by the time they get to me. Oh, no.
Heavyweight Nation is appalled right now.
Holy.
Pat Glory's coming for every heavyweight right now.
No.
He's gonna have a bunch of 300-pound men outside of his apartment door tonight.
Yeah, I know. I might have just shot myself in the foot there. But anyways, I think Quincy. It's like, how can you not bring Q? Just I think he just can find a way to survive anyway, by any means necessary. That might mean throwing me under the bus, but it's like, hey, hopefully we don't get to that point. And then the third one, I gotta say my boy Grant Cuomo. He knows nature very well. I feel like he would be able to like kind of navigate like us, like kind of finding safety and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? Finding like shelter and stuff. So
that sounds like a good lineup to me.
Yeah. I mean, for Princeton, I don't know. It's that's a hard line to beat. So,
I think one day we're gonna have to like go down the list. We're gonna have to go down the list of, what everybody said, because we've had some crazy answers.
Oh man, I can. It's a hard question to answer, man. You're like, I'm leaving out a lot of people that I probably think would be good teammates.
In my brain, like off the top, I know we had Andrew Sparks from Minnesota, and I mean, how could you not be having Gable Steveson on your team? Like, right. Like guys like that. You're like, okay, well, or like Penn State guys. I think we made an agreement with a couple of the Penn State guys that they could use the wrestling club, and it turned out like their lineup was like Snyder and Gilman, and I'm like, well,
of course.
You could have stopped at Gilman and you would have been okay, but
right, exactly. Yeah, that guy's like a freaking lumberjack.
Obviously, Pat, congratulations to you. Congratulations to your family. Congratulations to Princeton. From all of us here at Heavyweight Nation, we want to just say congrats. Obviously an amazing season, an amazing career. You've definitely made the mark. You've made history. So congrats to you for that. And that's gonna be the episode, guys. Thank everybody who's watching right now. We appreciate you. Obviously Matt's doing very well. This is his 3rd episode on with us, and he's done very well. And again, it's been the Heavyweight Nation podcast, and hope to hear from you guys again.